Welcome to Technically Speaking, the show for the technically challenged. My name is Stephanie, and today we're going to be talking about something that more people have asked me about than just about any topic lately: cloud computing. But before we get to cloud computing, I have a special guest I'd like to introduce, my very good friend, David Shane. Hi, David.
Hey, Stephanie.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
David is the owner of Footlights Entertainment. Footlightsnewyork.com is an entertainment company. What exactly do they do?
We provide live music for any kind of party or event. Weddings, retirement parties, corporate events, anything you can think of, we have the live music for that.
Terrific. And you use cloud computing.
We use cloud computing on a daily basis.
Well, thank God for that.
Indeed.
And I know that David uses Google Drive, which is what we're talking about today, because I recommended it.
That's right. I'm one of those people who asked you, one of the many people who asked you about cloud computing. I came to Stephanie and said, what sort of cloud computing do you recommend? What do you think we should try? And you said try Google Drive, and so we've been using it since.
Well, it's good because you came to me and said, which cloud computing do I recommend? Most people say, what's the cloud?
Good point. So there is where we should start.
Exactly. So what would you say if somebody walked up to you and said, what is the cloud? What would you say to them?
I would say the best way to think about it right now is a lot like email. We all pretty much understand that we can access our email from any device. I can check my email from my phone, I can check it from a work computer, from my home computer, and anything I send or receive through my email account is the same on any device that I visit.
Well, that's true. So if I'm not home, I can check my email at my mother's house.
Right.
It's the same email.
Exactly. So cloud computing, I would say, is a lot like that email service, only it's a little more expansive. You can have pictures, videos, documents, anything that you could think of in a certain cloud service, which means that information is somewhere else being stored for you, and you can access it from any device as long as you have some sort of internet connection. So you can get something from your phone, and that same document is available on your iPad or on your laptop or on no computer that belongs to you. You can log in on anybody else's computer, right, and receive that information.
Because now we have all these devices
I know,
all the
tons
time.
Of them. Yeah.
Technically, what they say about cloud computing, I've got a little technical thing. It's a remote hard drive owned by some other company,
okay,
like Google or Apple. And just so that people realize, I know we talk about the cloud like it's up. It's not actually up anywhere. These remote hard drives, or I call them supercomputers for people. It's like the Google one might be in Colorado.
Okay.
And they have a big factory with all these computers, and whenever we're accessing something, our computer is actually seeing what's happening on that computer. Apple has their own computers in California, Microsoft has their own, and whenever you're on the internet, you're actually accessing some other person's computer.
Okay.
Now, what's nice about the cloud, like you were saying, you can see stuff from wherever you are.
Right.
So if I pick up my iPhone, or if I'm at work, or wherever I am, I can see all the same things. And I think our viewers are used to that with something like Facebook.
Right. Very similar. Very similar.
They go on, they realize that if they upload a picture to Facebook, and then they leave home, or their friend goes to their computer, they will see that same picture. Mm-hmm. It's not actually on this computer, it's somewhere.
Right.
Up in the cloud.
Up in the cloud, I say.
Well, it's kind of like when I was younger and the television.
Right.
I guess that's where we got the imagery of the cloud. At first you thought that there were people who were actually singing and dancing inside the big television, and then you started to realize that the singers and dancers were in California, and somehow it was coming through the air and it was hitting your television.
And you can see it in New York the same as somebody can see it in Colorado, the same as somebody sees it in Texas.
Right.
That's essentially the cloud.
Now, this is all good if we're just kind of looking at stuff.
Right.
But this cloud computing thing actually goes the next step, that we're not just looking at stuff, but we can put things in the cloud as well. Well, now, maybe not like, I can't put this table in the cloud, but we all have files and pictures and videos and all these things, and we can take them from our computer, and the technical term would be to upload them. Again, they say upload as if they're going up someplace. I don't know if everyone's thinking if they look up they're going to see all their files flying by or something. But if we upload our stuff and it's in the cloud, then we can get it from wherever we are, which is very convenient.
Which has a lot of benefits, including being used as a backup space as well.
Well, that's nice.
So if I have all of these files on my computer that are very important files and something happens to my computer, it crashes or it gets run over by a car.
Happens.
Right, right. Then I still have access to those things from another device, from another computer.
Because that's always the big fear. If something happens to my computer, oh my God, what's going to happen to all of my
files.
stuff?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the price of computers, thank God, has come down. But if you lose all of the pictures of your children when they were babies, or that whole business plan that you just wrote, or even just your Christmas card list, that's a horrible thing. So that's one great benefit of the cloud, is that it's a backup.
Right.
It's always there. I had a bunch of things, because you and I were talking about this earlier. Your files are always safe, but another great benefit, and I think this is something that you do at Footlights a lot with your other staff members there, is sharing documents.
Right.
Tell me a little bit what you share and how you do it.
So a lot of our business involves getting information from clients about their event. What sort of clothing should the performers be wearing? What sort of music are we providing for you? What time can we set up our equipment?
Like if it was a wedding or a party or something? Okay.
The hall will be available for you to set up 3 hours before the start time. That's when we can start setting up. All information like that.
Right.
And those things vary from event to event. And so it's very important for us to keep detailed record of all that information. Now what happens is, for us, if I talk to a client and I get all of this information, and then a couple of days later I'm busy working on something else, doing something else, and somebody else from our office needs to access that information because they need to tell a musician, or they need to touch base with the client again to follow up. They need to access that information. And the nice thing about the cloud is I can put that information in a spreadsheet in our cloud service, and anybody from our office can access it, and they can see all of that information, and they can update it. And then I can see that they made changes to that information when I go back in. So it enables us to cut out a whole step of calling or emailing to say to each other, oh, I made this update today. Don't forget that we changed the start time of that event. All of those things, they can be all in the cloud service, and we can each access it and update it ourselves.
And it's not like you're driving to somebody's wedding, for example, and you suddenly realize that you left the order form back at the office, and you can't remember if the bride wanted you to sing her into one song or another. You have it with you on your...
I can access it from my phone, even. So that's, you know, it really enables us to sort of take some of the worry out of things.
That's really huge.
We recently put all of our music files into Google Drive, which is the cloud service that we use, and we can access those from anywhere. So if somebody makes a special request of us at an event, the last minute, could you possibly play or sing this song? Maybe we weren't planning on it, but we have access to that music, and we can pull it up on an iPad or a phone. And it really enables us to be more flexible.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure you used to fake it in the past.
Yeah, of course.
So you mentioned sharing documents, but also working on things. And and you and I have a fun thing that we're going to do later, working on a document simultaneously, so that if I'm making some changes and you can make some changes, we don't necessarily have to be in the same room. We don't necessarily have to be in the same city.
Right, and we can each make changes to that same document. It really makes working together on something, either, you know, in an office setting, or also just sharing with family and friends, something that, you know, the plans for our family reunion, and you want to add in your 2 cents and tell me about it and send that back to me. It just makes that process a lot easier.
That's great. And then always having everything with you. I mean, how many times do I run out of the house and realize, oh my gosh, I forgot someone's address. I forgot where I'm going. I forgot what color I'm supposed to. You always have it just on a phone, you said.
Yeah.
And who doesn't always have their phone?
We all have our phones.
Always.
And, you know, we all check our email from our phone now. That's a pretty standard thing. And so I think having the cloud computing option is going to be the next step in that. Understanding that we can do more than just access those messages. We can access almost anything that we could from our computer from anywhere.
Isn't it amazing we always have our phones with us?
I know.
I mean, gosh, it wasn't 10 years ago we didn't have a phone.
Right. That's
now,
true.
I mean, you would leave the house without your socks, but you would not leave the house without your phone.
I check 3 things: keys, wallet, phone.
Yes, but I remember the morning you forgot 2 out of 3 of those, so we won't even discuss that. Now, these are a couple of different cloud computing, I'll call them systems, companies that are out there that people might have heard of. Our viewers might have heard of these different things. One that I'm sure they've heard of is iCloud. If you own any kind of, I call them an iDevice, an iPad, an iPhone, an iPod, one of the very first things when you're setting it up from the box is it says, would you like to back up to iCloud? Basically, iCloud is the cloud service provided by Apple. It's free for up to 5 gigabytes worth of information, and it's a terrific service. The only thing is, it really works best with those iDevices. So something like you're describing, some of your coworkers may have iPhones and such, but some of them, you know, God forbid, might have a different kind of computer.
Right.
And they wouldn't be able to sync with it. Another one that I have recommended here, even to our viewers, is Dropbox, which is kind of like a big storage locker, I'll say, in the sky.
Sure.
That you can throw pictures and documents, and it's great for storage. But when we start talking about Google Drive, it does more than storage.
Right.
It goes that extra step. You don't just stick the stuff there, you can actually work with your documents.
Right.
And another one that's big, we get that word drive again, is SkyDrive. SkyDrive happens to be put out by Microsoft, which makes Microsoft Office. These two, of course, are going to be neck and neck if this is like the Olympics of the cloud computing. But some of the benefits to Google Drive specifically, before we start setting it up. For one thing, it's free.
Right.
I love free.
Free is great, especially for individuals, for small businesses.
Yes, you're a brand new business.
Yep.
So free is a fabulous thing. It's free for up to, what is it, 10 gigabytes?
I think it's 10 gigabytes. But also, if for some reason we needed to store a lot more than that, it's a very reasonable fee. I think only $25 for a year to more than double that. So so it's really reasonable for a small company.
Now, 10 gigabytes, just so that people can get their mind around what 10 gigabytes means. Our typical computer comes with about 2 to 4 gigabytes.
Right.
So you're getting 10 gigabytes for free, you're really not going to run out of space.
No.
That's
going to
really
be tough.
more than enough space. And it's free, and we could do all these great things about storage and sharing, and well, let's get started.